Welcome to the HR Empowerment Podcast, where we will uncover strategies and new insights from HR professionals who discuss up-to-date regulations, best practices, and the most pressing topics like diversity and equity, leadership, dealing with difficult situations, and much more that affect your bottom line and business. Thanks for joining us.
Hey everybody, Wendy Sellers here, the HR Lady. Welcome back and happy Friday. We are here talking about the benefits of offering health nutrition coaching to employees, and we want to dive into the topic of retention and attraction through a wellness culture. We have an expert and registered dietitian here, Michelle Shepard. She offers personalized nutrition and a positive, healthy relationship with food. Welcome back, Michelle.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming. And hey, JC, how you doing up there?
Oh, appreciate it, Wendy. Aloha. It's a pleasure on Friday to catch this vibe. And to think that the two of us, the four of us, the three of us, all of us, every week when we do this show, stay together all week for the listening audience is absolutely amazing. Michelle, it's been a pleasure being with you all week long. Aloha to you.
Aloha to you, JC.
Hey, let's turn the gears here and talk a little bit about retention overall. I mean, no, we don't have any issues with attracting and retaining employees these days, do we? Kidding on that. We all know that we do, and we have for quite some time. But I would say definitely the pandemic has set off the ability and capability for employees to say, you know what, this isn't good for me anymore. I'm going to go somewhere else. And so if you were listening the rest of the week and you still weren't bought into the fact of, I need to be providing some kind of health and nutrition coaching to my employees, attraction and retention is one of those reasons. With that said, I'm going to hand it over to you, Michelle, to talk a little bit more about that.
Oh, this is, I think, so important, right? And I am lucky that I have a very small business and one employee who I've had forever. And gosh, I would do anything to keep her. But all of my friends who own businesses with teams and employees and hiring, like, they're struggling, right? We all are. And so I think it's very timely to be extra competitive with what you have if you want your business to run smoothly and get like the best people for the job and not just a person for the job. That's pretty costly to manage. So when we look at some of the research around what employees are looking at, especially your younger set, they are looking for a really solid benefits package, right? So not just a nod to some coverage on drugs. Like, they want paramedical services, they want dietitian, they want massage. Like, they're proactive, right? I have to say the generation below me get props for like how on top of it they are. And then the other thing that we actually saw rank quite highly on what they look for is robust wellness programs, right? Like something meaningful, something they're going to get benefit out of. Like, what makes you different than another employer in your industry? And that, again, can't be that just like a lunch and learn thing. Like, they're looking for it to matter. So I think if you're struggling with hiring, or you don't want to struggle with hiring and retention, having those pieces built in and spending a little bit of proactive money, even though things are tight there, will save you money, down the road. It's just such an important piece.
It really is. And the other thing I wanted to say too is it is hard for us to sell to the C-suite, hey, I want more money for a massage, for example, for our employees. So, get the expert advice that you need from one of our podcast hosts, but making sure that you're tying the dollars that are spent to the return on investment. And our listeners, you don't need to be a mathematician or a CFO. You probably have a CFO or a CFO consultant. Get them involved so that they can truly look at the numbers and say, when we do this, when we make this change, when we get this employee feedback, we either, retain more employees, attract more employees, or in some cases, maybe it makes no difference because the communication of the benefit isn't actually occurring. So there's a lot of things that are just moving parts in all of this. And I really, really just want to, make it clear to our listeners that don't tackle this project alone. We need all hands on deck so that we can prove to the powers that be that, yes, it's worth it. With that said, JC, you have some statistics you want to share about this.
A vast majority of employees, 87%, prioritize health and wellness programs when choosing an employer, with 67% expressing higher job satisfaction in organizations offering these programs. 58% of millennials and 54% of Gen Zers consider company wellness initiatives crucial in their job decisions. And 45% of employees in small and medium-sized businesses believe wellness programs would significantly increase their tenure. And also, don't forget, a boiled egg in the morning is hard to beat. Back to you.
Thank you, JC. Hey, Michelle, you know what I thought was interesting is that not too long ago, you mentioned about younger generations demanding more. And it's funny because in the big picture, I think that most of us feel that younger people aren't worried about their benefits. They're not so worried about the benefits. We are just worried about our pay, and because we got to pay our bills, we're not worried about all these other benefits. But it sounds like that has changed.
I think so. And especially with your more skilled employees. So wellness is important to everyone, but I find, in tech or just some of those areas where you've got a bit more of an educated bulk, I see those clients because those are my one-on-one clients. And sometimes then I partner with their companies, but they care, right? They are much more informed and dialed in on nutrition and sleep and stress and things like this and caffeine than any of us were, at 25 or 30. And I think they're a proactive generation with that. They're also very outspoken about pay and parity and things like that. But it does matter to them. And I think those stats JC shared really point to that, right? That there's this huge chunk who are going, I need you to pay me well. But in order for you to be different than this other company to pay me well, you need to care, right? You have to have something in place that's robust and meaningful that I choose you for. Because otherwise there's so many options and so much flexibility these days they can turn to.
It's 100% right. It is a competitive world of attracting and retaining employees these days. So your employee benefits, your wellness, your nutrition and health coaching could be one, small benefit that you may think is insignificant that may make the difference of why somebody is choosing to stay with your company or to join your company versus another company. Michelle, how can our listeners find you and connect with you?
That's a great question. Thank you, Wendy. So the easiest way to connect with me, you can go to my website, which is westcoastnutrition.ca because I'm in Canada, or you can find me on LinkedIn. So Michelle Shepherd, I come up pretty much near the top there. And if you are an Instagram person, I'm quite active on there with my one-to-one client contact, and that is at Michelle West Coast Nutrition.
Excellent. And we'll make sure that we put that in the podcast notes as well. Thanks for listening, everyone, to episode 5 of our 5-part series on the benefits of offering health and nutrition coaching to employees. As the HR lady, I'm always looking for feedback on the program, so feel free to reach out if you have a topic that you want to hear about or you want to be on the show. Thanks for joining us and take care.
Thank you for joining the HR Empowerment Podcast, brought to you by Aurora Training Advantage. We hope you've gained new insight and strategies to navigate the HR profession. We look forward to you joining us again on the HR Empowerment Podcast.